Waltrip has come by. We thought it'd be good to have Michael come in and talk about his race teams. And, Michael, I'll open it up by saying not only do you have an opportunity to have two of your drivers for the second straight year make it into the driver's chase, there is that opportunity that you could have all three of your teams represented in the owner's chase. Certainly those are two separate entities, but I'm sure as a race team owner that those both are very, very important. So maybe talk about that and maybe just a little bit about your prospects for tomorrow night with your race cars.
Well, we're certainly proud that our cars have all three an opportunity to race for the championship. Brian wins tomorrow night. That could do it. So we come here set on, focused on winning the race with all three cars, and be a really cool evening for our first 1, 2, 3 finish at Michael Waltrip Racing. And I think our drivers are confident that they have the equipment and the know-how to get it done. We were able to win here last fall, and Martin and Clint and Brian, all three really enjoy racing at Richmond. I think all the drivers love racing at Richmond. So we're very confident and focused, and we're ready to get tomorrow night started and give ourselves a chance to get all of our drivers, all of our cars and our sponsors into position to race for a championship.
Very good. We'll take questions now. We'll start with Reed. If you could raise your hand, Reed, and we'll get you the wireless mic.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. Michael, this is one of Clint's best tracks. Statistically, it's not one of Martin's. How closely are those two teams working together in terms of setups and things like that?
That's probably the thing that I'm most proud of Michael Waltrip Racing is the relationship between each of the teams. There's so much support from Clint to Martin to Brian. They all respect each other. They race each other like their teammates, and they communicate like their teammates as well. So obviously everything that Clint feels and knows and does here, which is pretty special, his ability at Richmond, he shares all that with the other drivers. And in this day and age of the electronic fuel ignition and being able to monitor throttle position and braking and some of the things that we are able to look at in the data, the engineers and the teams really closely watch what makes Clint special here and what he does that the other drivers might try and might work with. So everybody's very open. People understand, that this is a really good track for Clint, and try to feed off his momentum that he's gained here.
Let's go over here to Jim. Raise your hand, Jim.
Jim Uttershaw, Observer. Last season around this time, you talked about getting drivers into the chase and how that was important for Michael Waltrip Racing, but you also talked about being able to do that to be a top organization to do that consistently. Do you feel with Clint solidly in and Martin with a very good shot and even the possibility of the owner's chase situation that you guys have done that this year?
We've done it this year for sure, and that's great, but we got to do it. I think we got to do it, every year. But the cool thing about this year are the challenges that we've been faced with. The new car was huge to get your arms around, to get it to the nth degree of tuned up and ready to race these boys. If you just look at the organizations, Mr. Hendrick and Mr. Gibbs and Penske and Roush, all those gentlemen have been doing this for many more years than us. And over those years, they've probably accumulated more resources than Michael Waltrip Racing has. So when anything changes, the more stuff you got and the more people you have, the faster you can adapt to those changes. And while we've done a nice job, the first part of the season, we were consistent, but we didn't have the speed that we needed in order to contend for wins. And then as the midseason came along, I think we kept closing that gap and got better and better and better. And I think we're peaking as an organization as this chase approaches. So we're very confident about our chances to race for a championship. And we're even more confident about 14, 15, and beyond because, I mean, we went through we had a car that we had tuned up for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and however long it's been around, and we'd gotten it pretty good. Then all of a sudden, new car, a lot of people got on it harder because of they didn't work any harder or smarter. They just had more bullets in the gun to shoot at the wall and see which ones were the right ones to make the car better. So these cars, it's so crazy. I come here and look at these cars, and today I was just touching the rear spoiler, and every part of the car is so precise. And I just remember back to when we would, back in the 90s and O's, we'd drag stuff here that we just raced. And now it feels like it feels a lot like Formula One with the way everything's tuned out. It's really cool to see.
Let's go over here to the left, Kim.
Hi, Michael. Kim Robertson, Insider Racing News. You came so close to getting the championship last year with Clint's team. What lessons did you learn last year, and do you think that you're going to be how easily do you think it's going to be to get that one spot to get the championship this year?
It's not going to be easy at all. And all we learned was that, I think we had a solid plan for the chase. We bared down hard at tracks that we felt like were ones our drivers liked, and we tried to take advantage of that and make calls that gave us a chance to win at those tracks. And then we sort of went into survival mode at a couple of the places. And I think that'll be their same plan this year. I know that Clint loves Loudon and Martin loves a mile and a half. So you just play to your strengths, and you hope that you can take advantage of those tracks and opportunities. And I think like I said, I think we're going into the chase as an organization at a very opportune time. Last week, I think Clint showed a tremendous amount of speed, and Martin showed a tremendous amount of heart, and Brian showed a tremendous amount of perseverance, and all those things will be key in the chase. And I look forward to seeing our guys in that chase, because we learned so much and grew so much last year as an organization. Hopefully we can take advantage of that this year.
Jenna.
Jennifer, AP, Clint did show a lot of speed last week, and then he had an engine issue. And I think Toyota as a whole had 4, not just your team, but amongst all of their engines. So does that concern you at all? Because I think that's their engine, that's their package for the chase.
Anytime something breaks, you're concerned, but Toyota Racing Development has the ability to analyze, define what happened, and make sure that it doesn't happen again. And this week has been a very busy week for those folks. There was a couple of engines that were new specs, if you will, and there were failures, but I think that they've isolated what the problems were, and will react accordingly. Over the last 10 weeks, I don't think we've had any trouble under the hood until Atlanta, and we've won the most poles and the most races. So obviously a lot of things are going right with Toyota, and a lot of the support that they give Michael Waltrip Racing and the resources that Toyota allows us to share with Joe Gibbs Racing, it just makes us who we are. So we trust them, we believe in them, and when they say we're on this, we've got it figured out, we're confident that that's the case.
You sure can.
Clint's had a real nice season, and he's second in points. But if he doesn't get a win, he's going to get knocked down and lose all that ground. So, he had that fluke thing. Was it Bristol when a lap car wrecked him? And then, to be leading and then have an engine issue. I guess those weird things is he's such an upbeat guy. But, I mean, do you ever have a hard time? Does he ever get disappointed by these weird things and the fact that he is winless and we're getting close to this cutoff time where he's going to lose all this ground that he's made up?
Well, when I'm sitting in my office and he comes by, you guys know him as well as I do. There's 100 different ways this conversation starts and where it ends. And what I gained from talking to Clint after Atlanta on Monday at the shop was just a tremendous amount of positive enthusiasm over performance. And it's sort of like I was talking about earlier. We didn't have the speed to go out and lead races early in the season. We just pushed along and was consistent and steady, and our drivers did a great job of putting us in this position. And now the speed is there, and Clint had it at Bristol and he had it at Atlanta. And I think that is what he worries more about than anything. He's an extremely smart racer, an extremely focused guy when it comes to getting in that car and knowing what he needs to get out of it. And he now knows that he has the speed to go lead these last 10 races and win a championship. And I just see a lot of positive energy from Clint. And I've seen some negative energy over the years from him, and I like this positive energy I'm feeling now.
Let's go here to Paul, and then over Paul right here in the white, and then over to Dustin on the left. Go ahead.
Paul Woody, Richmond Times-Dispatch. Michael, last year at this time, Martin was solidly in the chase with no victories. This year he has a victory, and he's on the bubble. Do you find that frustrating, ironic, whatever?
No, I don't find it frustrating or ironic. I think that you look at the level of competition that is competing for that 10th, 11th, or 12th spot. It's just the world we live in. Those are some great cars and some great teams. And so Martin's had a couple of stumbles along the way that put him in the position that he's in, but he's also got that huge win for us in Napa, out in Napa. So I'm confident in his ability to win tomorrow night. I know y'all all saw it too, but just love the way he competed Saturday night or Sunday night in Atlanta, and that type of focus and determination is why I feel so good about tomorrow night. Our boys are all in a really good place mentally, and I think that it's certainly a really impressive accomplishment that Brian Vickers was able to be a part-time driver and grab a win in the Aaron's Dream Machine up at Loudon and have himself a part of the conversation here at Richmond, despite the fact he's only run a handful of races. So pretty good times for MWR. And when I think of good times, it reminds me of the bad. And I remember coming here in 2007, we didn't even have a garage stall. Our cars were out on pit road because the garage was full, and I don't even know if any of us qualified. And so now we're here and we're talking championship. So that's really fun.
Let's go to Dustin, and then we'll come back to Kim. Go ahead, Dustin, far left.
Dustin Long, Motor Racing Network. Michael, you talked earlier about you guys learned about things about being in the chase last year. You guys were going to be, obviously you guys were running in those races anyway, whether you're in the chase or not. So what by being in the chase, or what did that chase experience teach your organization, teach those teams because they hadn't gone through that as much?
I just think that, Clint's experience having raced in the chase really added to how much our organization learned from what he had done before, and how much Martin learned from it, and all of our team members, just how focused and how precise you have to be in order to beat Jimmy Johnson. And we did beat Jimmy Johnson, but then one other person was in the way. So I think it's just a matter of concentration, focus, and understanding how precious each of those spots are. And I think Clint did a good job of showing, talking about his plan, how he was going to race for a championship. You know, go to Loudon, I think was the first race last year, and get it. We got to get a top 10 here. We got to race in the top 5. We got to establish ourselves as one of the teams that is going to race for this championship. And I know that's easy said, but if you don't have a plan like that, then you know you don't have a direction. And I think that's the focus and the direction that we learned from Clint, and we will use as we enter the chase in 2014.
But Michael, how is that different from any other race? You guys, every race is about winning. Every race is about being precise. So what should you? I guess in theory, then should you have done that the other 26 races, or what's so much different in the 10 races? Because those are things you guys are doing every race all year.
Well, if something, you can't help if something goes wrong. I mean, that's just part of life. But if something goes wrong in one of the first 26, they're probably going to have a pretty good chance to overcome that and be a part of the last 10. And when you start the last 10, if something goes wrong, you're probably not going to be the champion. So I think just the intensity level that group of 12 put forward as they race to the chase and throughout the chase, even though you can't give 110%, you can only give 100. You feel like that everybody is right on their game, fighting for every inch of ground that they can gather. And you know, sports teams peak at the right time of the year. It happens not just in that's my people. It happens in all sports, and I'm just sort of speaking of mentally getting your game peaked at the right time. I have a lot of stuff going on in here.
Go ahead, Kim.
A little bit of a follow-on question to a comment you just made about where 2007 you were sitting out on pit road and now you're in a championship chase. And last year everybody was like, oh, look, Michael Waltrip Racing's in the championship. Now you're kind of expected to be there. When you sit and think about it in your head as everything else is going on in there, what does that mean to you as a former driver and now owner, as how far you have come to be expected to be in the chase with your cars now?
Well, we made it last year, and I think we came out of left field for most of the public and media, because in 2011 we didn't finish in the top 15. You know, our cars didn't finish great, but when we ended the 11 season with the addition of Scott Miller and Clint Boyer and Mark Martin and all these new cars and processes that we had put in place at MWR, we felt really confident about racing in 2012. And so we weren't surprised that we were that much better, because it was all science. You know, you could look at the aero numbers, you could look at the chassis numbers, and we just knew we were going to be better, and we were. So that's when it all happened for me, off late in 11 and 12, when I started really being proud to be a car owner, because we'd started out miserably. We had raced to mediocrity, and we sort of leveled off there. And we made some changes with personnel and some additions and new drivers, and it was a special feeling to see everybody's face at MWR. A lot of those guys have been there with me since we missed races and had to park out in the parking lot. And they have a sense of ownership in what we do. And so that was huge for me. This year, it's just been a matter of, we got to do it every year. Every year has to be this way. And so I'm not glowing or proud. I'm just like happy that these folks are getting to enjoy all this success and competitiveness, because it wasn't there, and they learned that it's not expected. It's just, you know, if you work hard and you get there, then by gosh, you better enjoy it, because it ain't going to happen every day.
Two more questions. We'll go with Bob and finish with Reed.
Bob Cocker, Sporting News. And talk about the Owners' Championship. Can you kind of talk about the balance of about kind of helping out Stuart Haas Racing and the 14 car kind of stay in it by letting Mark go over there to run for them? And how does that, you can say that, well, Owners' Championship's a big deal, but it seems weird that you've let one of your guys over there to help them out.
Yeah, there was a lot of conversations around what to do, and right off there was some interest from Tony and those guys about Mark, and we looked at the big picture for MWR, and the big picture for us was winning the championship in 2014 with Brian Vickers, and in order to accomplish that, we needed to get him in the system and in the mile-and-a-half races that he hasn't been in, and sort of understand who we are and how we go about things. And we felt like the balance was, or the trade-off was better for us to put Brian in the car and let Mark go drive Tony's car. And Mark was an amazing addition to our team and helped us grow and through that 2011 into 12 that I talked about. And I said, do you want to go do it? And he said, I'd like to help Tony. And then we said, well, we'll figure that out. And so now I think he's going to help Tony in 2014 with maybe, I read Danica was going to do some testing, or however all that'll work out. I'm not sure. But I know that I'm kind of old, and if I got something to look forward to, it's really cool. And I'm sure Mark's really pumped up that he's getting to race Tony's car, and he gets to be around there next year and have a capacity or a role. And if none of that's correct, y'all wrote it. So I'm just repeating what I read.
Final question, Reed.
Reed Spencer, NASCAR Wire Service. On a related topic, was it a difficult decision to you to sit Rodney down from the 55 car, and have you made any progress on a replacement for next year?
Rodney and I are buddies, and we he's been a tremendous asset at Michael Waltrip Racing, but we're going to have meetings and build cars and put processes into place that we think will help us win a championship in 2014. When he voiced his when he said he was going to leave MWR, that just it's business. It's our information to protect, and we felt like that was a smart way to protect it. And I know he understands, and in this world we live in, we've had some very pleasant texts over the last couple of weeks about where he is and where we are, and how that situation was handled. No one did anything mean. It's just business.
And any drivers on
we're just looking at all. I'm trying to think of what the cliches, when people don't want to answer you, they use. We're taking a look at all of our options, and we're going to
Leave no stone unturned.
We won't leave any corner of the garage No is the answer. But, we're working on it. It's not, we'll figure it out.
Michael, thanks for coming in. This was really good having you in here, and good luck this weekend and the rest of the season.
Thank y'all very much. I do read what you write.